Here goes, and welcome to episode number 148 of Throwback Hoops. Woody V is on the mic. Please follow the video show on YouTube, and you can listen to the audio wherever you listen to your podcasts. And as always, I'm joined by my main man, Robbie Clayton. What's going on, my brother?
What's up, Woods? Looking forward to tonight. We're a week before Christmas, so the festive season's here, and really looking forward to kick it with our special guest this evening.
Correct. So am I, man. I'm excited to introduce a very special guest today. This man came through the junior pathways in New South Wales before making his debut for the West Sydney Razorback at just 20 years of age back in 2000. He went on to play 4 seasons and 122 NBL games for the Razorbacks and the Cairns Taipans. I also have to mention, it was his birthday yesterday, so it's a very happy birthday, and with great pleasure, I welcome Ben Arkell to Throwback Hoops. How are you, my man?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Robbie and Woody. Oh, Woody and Rob, sorry, mate. Yeah, no, good. Thank you for bringing up the birthday. Just another reminder I'm getting older, fatter and slower. But thanks for that. But glad to be here. I'm glad you had the intro because no one will probably remember a very short and brief career. But it's very nice to be here.
Hey, Woody, did you wear 45? Because that's how old Ben turned.
Damn it! Some things need to be kept secret. I said I'm open, but not that open. No.
How did we actually link up, Ben? I actually was having a beer with Dion, one of my friends, and he's like, man, you know Ben Arkell, he used to play for the West Sydney Razorback. I'm like, yeah, I do. And he's like, you should get him on your podcast. He's friends with one of my friends, Ram. That's how it happened, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, Ramesh Rambam, who just messaged me going, oh, would you be interested? I was like, oh, well, to be honest, I'm not sure why anyone would want to hear what I've got to say. But yeah, I love having a chat about it and talking about the game, which I love. So yeah, it's great. Thanks for having me on.
We're very excited to have you. Now, it's tradition on this show, Ben, that you showcase a jersey. Well, all our guests do, right? So I know you got a couple there. So do you want to just show us what you got and tell us a little bit about them?
Yeah, my first one's obviously just the Razorbacks jersey, number 4 back in the day. I got to choose that actually in their inaugural season because I was a development player. But yeah, spent 4 years there, 2 years as a part of the 10 effectively, but that was always, it holds a special place in my heart because it was something I never really thought about or dreamed about until I was a bit later, thinking it might be reality. And to actually make that the debut was pretty special. And obviously just had one of my good mates, a guy who I trust and love implicitly, Mark Beecroft, just sent me down a Taipans one for the retro round. So it was
very cool.
Yeah, he actually wanted me to go up, but I had a bit of imposter syndrome after my Taipans career. So, but yeah, they're both special for different reasons. That was kind of the first time I left Sydney, lived full time, and yeah, just loved the experience. So.
And Ben, that's really, really nice of Mark to actually think of you during Heritage Round and send that jersey out to you. So you still maintain a very close bond and a relationship. You were telling me offline. How has that been maintained over all these years?
Yeah, I mean, it's not as regular as we'd probably like. But Mark was the coach of the Marlins when I played, which is obviously effectively the NBL 1 team affiliated with the Taipans. He was the coach, and we won a national title in 2004. And I was a bit disillusioned with the game, the way the kind of Taipans thing played out, and was ready kind of to walk away and throw. I was captain that year of the Marlins and kind of ready to walk away, and Mark just refused to allow me to do so. And it's something I'll be forever grateful to him for because we had a great year, won the national title for the ABA. It was back then, but probably one of my favourite experiences on the basketball court. And I owe him a lot. And I caught up with him in June, and he said, "Look, we'll get you back up here." And I chickened out, but I understand him and Martin Catalini had a very good time up there on the weekend 2 weeks ago. So, but yeah, no, he's a great guy and someone who I always value his friendship for.
That's great to hear. Really appreciate you taking the time to showcase those jerseys, Ben. Now, what Robbie and I have done today is, with you coming on the show, we thought with our, large jersey collections, let's showcase some of your teammates. So maybe I'll throw over to you, Robbie. Who you got there? Maybe you can...
Sounds good. So I'll just stand up and show you this one. It's a very thin material, so it's also showing the Minnesota, so I should have worn it. But I'll stand up and show you this one.
So all our audio listeners...
D-Ruck.
Derek Rucker.
D-Ruck, yeah, mate, what a player. That's a great jersey. Yeah, he was a great player over a long time. And people talk about, we've never seen anyone like Bryce Cotton. Derek Rucker in his prime was my God, I remember watching him before I had anything to do with him at West Sydney when he was playing for, Newcastle, Brisbane, Townsville. Exactly the kind of player that Bryce Cotton is now. Just could stop and pop. But yeah, I was actually a bit worried because I saw the orange and the kind of the thing. I was worried it was a Brett Maher jersey, reminded us of the 2002 grand final loss, and I was like, don't do that to me.
We had him on here recently, and he
I
was
did see.
waxing lyrical about that.
Yeah, that was a tough one. So
a little bit about Rucker. So I just thought I'd talk a little bit about him. So he attended Davidson College, which of course is famous for Steph Curry graduating there. Played 15 seasons in the NBL. So he played with Brisbane, Newcastle, Townsville, and West Sydney. He was MVP and NBL scoring leader in 1990. Went on to make 5 All NBL teams. He's obviously now having a great media career. So I know we've got a question later on for Ben about Ruck, but I thought I might throw one to you, Woody. What were your sort of memories of watching Rucker? And he seems to be a little bit forgotten about, right, for how good he was.
I just remember he paved the way for a lot of imports to come here. He was that point guard. He had Darryl McDonald, other guys follow him, right? So he was there from the early 90s, right? And he, those guys that have moved to Australia as imports and then settled here and lived here, got careers in media and whatever afterwards. He started that trend. So he's a trailblazer in that sense. So the impact he's had on Australian basketball and continues to have can't be understated, right?
I didn't realise how good Derek Rucker's old man was at NFL as well. So I was doing a bit of research for that. He was like a real legit NFL player.
There. Cool for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So
yeah.
All right, nice. What about yourself, Woods? I'm liking that one you're rocking there. Why don't you show us that one? The old number 45.
Yeah.
The Landlord.
Nice, the Landlord.
That is a nice jersey, that one, isn't it?
Oh, the sky blue is amazing. I loved it.
One of my
favorites. And to be honest, one of the better blokes you'll ever meet.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, not many because he had that persona on the court of being grumpy, but what a guy!
He's not someone you hear a lot of these days either, is he?
No. As I understand, moved back to Canberra. I hope I'm not talking out of school. I believe he's in the AFP.
Okay.
But just a cracking bloke, just totally different. You'd see him on kind of scowling after blocking 19 shots for the other team, but looked after me, took me under his wing a lot when I was younger. We had the same size foot, so hooked me up with a lot of Adidas gear, which was always very well appreciated. So, but mate, he was a game changer, and had the opportunity to go to the NBA at a stage in the career, but chose to stay here and kind of try to finish what he started at West Sydney.
That's what I wanted to ask you about, right? Because, I've worn this jersey. I've gone through the whole spiel about the Landlord before. Was it him just being really good at basketball, but maybe had passions for other things outside of the game that stopped him from wanting to go to the US? Or what was it, right?
It's hard to say because I remember we were actually on the sponsors' boat when the kind of news broke, just having not off season, or probably off season because of what we're getting up to, but just relaxing and that, and it was like an elephant in the room that everyone was kind of like, we've just heard Dwight has knocked his back. Is anyone going to say it? But Dwight is his own man. He was always, he's not your typical basketball. He loved the outdoors, loved, going out and camping and things like that, which, you wouldn't actually pick. And just, it was something that he didn't feel he wanted to do at that time. And he was strong enough. Because I was a young guy, really young, and when at that time, no one really wanted to ask him too much about it. But I think John really came up and said, "What are you thinking?" But he was just comfortable where he was and happy. All the material things. I don't know. He was just content where he was and happy to be where he was. But he was, I think he's almost the prototypical NBA player of today. Could shoot the three, defend 4 positions or 5 if need be, block shots, athletic, run the floor. Probably ahead of his time a little bit. Athleticism off the charts at his size and long arms, scratch his kneecap without bending over. It was, he just had the full package. But no one kind of harped on it too much because some of the older guys who would have loved that opportunity were like, mate, I don't understand it. And some of us younger guys just like, wow, he's chosen to stay here with us. So. But he was an amazing player.
Man, I remember him coming up in the late 90s, everyone talking about him. This guy was dunking at 11 or 12 years old, right? And when we talk about the history of Australian basketball, he had a 10-year career. It wasn't very long, right? And he almost gets slept on, but he was amazing, the Landlord, right?
Yeah,
so
well, I think I'm not sure, but I think he still might be the all-time NBL shot blocking leader, or it might be, has it been taken over? But like you say, his career was cut short and derailed by some knee issues. But he packed a hell of a lot in that 10 years, and yeah, he was amazing. It was a great,
3.4 blocks per game over
which
10
is
years.
ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
It's absolutely ridiculous. You know what I mean?
Like a couple
just...
of times at practice, did he, Ben? Or?
Oh, he did, but he talked to me about it too. Like and that's what I mean. He was a great guy, great teammate. He's like, mate, attack my body. If you attack my body, I got to pull my arm down to get it, and you're going to foul me and stuff like that. And he was, yeah. I mean, he had my back a couple of times, a couple of scuffles at training with different people, and he'd always have, I don't know, because I'm probably the youngest, but he was great. I loved him. It was it was really good to play with, and just a really good bloke.
Sounds like some fond memories that you guys created together. So that's great to hear, Ben.
Yeah.
Robbie, let me throw over to you, man. So what Robbie does every week, he's introduced this season into the show, Ben. It's his card of the week, right? He pulls out a basketball card and tells a story about it. So I'll let him do it. He's got one for you today. So
I'm going to keep it pretty simple this week, Woods.
Yep.
So, Ben, I'm a lifelong Wildcats fan. We've seen what Bryce Cotton's done these first few weeks. So I thought I had to show a Bryce Cotton card today. So I've got this really nice autograph card. This is from this year's set, the 2024 Topps card there. But, yeah, I thought that was a nice card. They're a little bit boring on the back. But, Bryce Cotton, how good's he been this year?
Mate, everything he does is nice, I tell you. And when he, the first couple of years I come in, I remember when he first came, because I still like to watch and follow, the NBA and the NBL. And I think when he first signed, he was cut by Utah and then signed with Perth.
Yeah.
And Joe Ingles was like, oh, Perth's got a good one, and then you kind of watch him like, oh, he's undersized. Is he going to go all right? But some of them, and then you see him, the first few games he played, this is, 6-7 years ago when he came over, and you're like, oh, that's a terrible, oh, God, that went in. And then, those shots where it's just I'll pull up on a dime, and the size doesn't even come into it because he's unbelievable. And to continue that on at such a high level for so long, he's amazing. He's amazing to watch. I actually, and another point, because John Riley's coaching, so I make sure there's a couple of teams make sure I don't miss the games, and Perth's always been one of them since he's been there, because he's just a great watch. So, and seems like a cracking teammate as well. So.
I'm thinking there's that highlight of him when he was playing for Utah with that massive alley-oop dunk as well.
Well, that's the thing, because a lot of his stuff now is so much jump shots. Everyone sleeps on his hops, right? He's got bounce, and I think, was it last week he got a nice little
tip dunk?
Pogo
stick, man.
Right? Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just, and it's quick. It's a quick jump too. He gets to the peak.
There's no way he's 6 foot, right? He's probably a little
5'10".
6 foot.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. But just as I said, continuing the tradition of great ones like Derek and Cal Bruton, who you had on before as well, who's just paved the way. Well, not paved the way, but just that lead undersized guard, and PJC for New Zealand at the moment. The way he creates
the little big man society. Who says that?
Oh, yeah, well, mate, it's amazing, but
Damon
it's good.
Murray.
Damon. Geez, he used to torment me. My God, such quick hands too. You said it was like a walking turnover when I was bringing it up against Damon Lowry. So, but yeah, and guys like that who just, they're not ego, because they're not egotistical, but just their confidence just totally outrules their height and size. They're amazing to watch. Not so good to guard, but really amazing to watch. So, yeah. But no, Bryce is special. There's no doubt.
We're fortunate to have such great players. We've mentioned quite a few today. Just come to our shores, and it's been amazing, right? So, I thought let's jump into some Q&A. Are you all right to just chop it up with us for a bit today?
Yeah. Fire away.
And I just want to find out a little bit about your career and various different things that you went through over the years. So. Maybe I'll just kick it off and start at the beginning, right? You were born in Sydney. Where did your basketball journey begin? Where did you first find a love for the game?
Basically, my sisters played Friday night basketball, and my mum had been at home all week looking after the kids. So Dad took me along to give Mum a break from all the kids and a few hours to herself. And one of the boys' teams was short, and they said, oh yeah, Dad just threw me on and said, oh, he'll play. And I think I was 6 playing in an under 12s comp. I was lucky. I was always a big kid. Anyway, so I stood there crying for 20 minutes and didn't move off the court. And then second half, I got involved and asked to come back. But it was always secondary for me. I always liked rugby league growing up. I was I probably should have, my body type, I probably should have stuck with it. But no, I always loved it. But basketball, I kind of got good at it because the reason I loved it was because at home by yourself, there's only one, like soccer, you can't kick a ball and you got to go chase it, or you're just doing little taps and dribbles. And rugby league, I'll throw the ball or I'll run hard. Basketball is the one game where you can just improve by yourself. All you need is a basketball and a level ground. You don't even need a ring. So I kind of took that to the extreme and got better and better at it as I got older and started playing reps. I think when I was about 8 for under 12s at Parramatta Wildcats. And I grew real quick and kind of knew that was I think I was 12 or 13 with a size 15 shoe and 6'2.5". So I was like, okay, I can't be a 6'10" basketball rugby league player. And then so stopped playing footy and stuck with basketball, but then I didn't grow another inch. So but I know it was just the passion was the fact that, and even my kids do little athletics and stuff now. It's just competing against yourself, which you can do at home with a ring or with a ball or, just, make 10 free throws in a row. And that just kind of lit a fire in me where I always wanted to get better and could do it by myself. So I guess that's where the love for it came. And, I'd spend hours just throwing it around. So
were you a Kings fan growing up, Ben?
Mate, I was, yeah. So, like massive, to be honest. The first time I got my parents never bought me like back in the day, Atari or Sega, but I got the Kings Player of the Week. So I had to go to a game when I was younger and got that. But I think from about 14 or 15, the Kings used to have a summer league when I was playing in winter comp, and they'd get like the Kings, and they had the Sydney Kings Youth, which is an NBL 1 team with their up and comers, and they'd kind of intersperse them with like local juniors, like from Sydney to play for like 6 or 8 weeks. So I was like 14, 15 there, going into their training base at Alexandria, which is amazing. And so I was passionate about that. And then, I was actually training with the youth team when I decided to leave and go to West Sydney, which was, I didn't know what to do at the time, but it was tough. But I grew up a massive Kings fan, so.
Well, that's awesome. You mentioned that you played reps, right? Let's talk about that a little bit. What kind of pathways did junior basketball have in those days, right? We went through a period, you were a rookie in the 2000 season, right? And we went through a period where the glory days of the 90s had just passed, right? And basketball was dying. It was struggling for identity in Australia, right?
Yep.
What kind of pathways did you have going through the juniors to get that opportunity as a development player for the West Sydney Razorbacks?
Yeah, to be honest, a lot of it was, I don't even know how it kind of happened. I guess people kind of just knew. You'd play state for, up until under 18s, New South Wales Metro, New South Wales Country. I got asked to apply for the AIS for a couple. Didn't end up going, just couldn't bring myself to leave home. I think I was 17, but we had some really good benefactors in Sydney at the time. Ken Cole was living in Sydney at the time, and he was offering the good guys opportunity because he had a lot of the contacts through Louisiana, as I understand it. To go play a year of high school and see if college would come off, which is nowadays it's almost a dime a dozen for Aussie kids going over to college. But back then it wasn't so much. It was kind of your really top tier, and it was a bit of a muddled one where. And so I was, I'd train with the Kings, the youth team. I don't know how I got selected. I guess it was the state coaches maybe nominating people to train with to the summer league. And I got. As I got older, I got asked to try for the West Sydney Slammers, which was the precursor to the Razorbacks.
Yep.
I got via a letter from Robbie Cadee, who was the general manager at the time, and continued on through the Razorbacks. But I don't think they're probably as prevalent now. Like with all the tours and stuff you get on offer, and to gain exposure or go do a USA tour to get. There were some, but they weren't quite as prevalent and as many different companies offering that opportunity to be seen. So, and to be honest, I didn't really have that in mind that I was trying to get that way. I just wanted to be the best I could. And so kind of, mine was a bit of a, serendipity that it kind of happened. But, I think they're probably much more prevalent now, and I guess the internet changes everything too. Like you can't make a mixtape back in the 1995, 96, whereas now you can kind of splice. It was, right? And you have to spend time cutting and splicing. And now, you can make yourself look like, the second coming of Michael Jordan because you don't see a missed shot and stuff like that, where you couldn't really do it back then. But, I think it was just a lot of good people with good hearts that were looking out for young guys and trying to provide the opportunities. So,
Well, that's terrific. I mean, look, as a young kid who loved his rugby league, accidentally fell into basketball almost and fell in love with it, right? Then
yep,
in 2000, you made your debut for the West Sydney Razorbacks, right? You're there playing in front of, a
yeah.
crowd. And
Wollongong Entertainment Centre, yeah,
what do you
debut.
remember? What do you remember about that day? 5 points you scored, right?
Yeah. Which shot was it? The first shot was a terrible shot. It was a 3-pointer, and I just rushed it and shouldn't have shot it. And it went in, and I was like, wow, that's good. It's out of the system. Almost like my mindset was almost like the state of origin. A rugby league player debuts there. You want to take the first hit up, so you get your taste of it. Get your hands on the ball early. I thought I wouldn't be nervous because I'd been a development player for 2 years, but when you're actually kind of in the show, I guess it kind of hits you a bit more. So I wasn't sweaty palms or anything like that, but I was a bit jittery. But yeah, no, I still remember the spot on the entertainment center where I hit that first shot, and I still, your mind kind of harps back to it whenever you watch a game where the Hawks play, which is really fun at the moment too. But no, it was good, and Gordy was amazing. Like Gordy's just such a good guy, such a good coach, good communicator. So yeah, there was no pressure on me. I had a lot of superstars kind of around at the time in terms of, Derek and JR and Dwighty, like I mentioned, Bruce Bolden,
Yep.
just kind of like, just do your job. That's all you got to do. And that's fine. Bring some energy where you can and sub off after a few minutes and enjoy the show basically. So, no, it was great. It was great. Fond memories and wish I could do it all again. So,
Well, you spoke about Gordy McLeod. That first season, you were 9-19, right?
yeah. A few
You came.
injuries with Derek, and I was probably not ready to step into the fold, I wouldn't think. But yeah, it wasn't great. But Gordy's a very level-headed guy. I think we knew we had the bones there to do something with Gordy. Gordy coaching. Mark Watkins was a great assistant.
Yep.
And he's had a good career in basketball, and he ended up coaching the Razorbacks for a bit. But he was great. He was a great conduit, and just the playing roster. We had Bruce, who was still contributing, and Derek and John and Dwighty, and so it wasn't great. Injuries kind of curtailed us a little bit, but that happens. That's sport, right? So,
Of course. Yeah.
What was Gordy's coaching style like?
But I tell people a story like we'd be up 15, and the other team would make a run, and he'd come in and like he'd just crack a one-liner or tell a joke, and like, boys, just relax, he was strict and like he was great, and he could run a training session and do all that stuff, but he was just some of my funniest memories are having of being around Gordy and being out after a game with Gordy as well. No, he was great. You probably didn't realise how good I had it with Gordy until later in life. He was great. He, as I said, he was strict. He wanted you to come in, do your job, try to get better, and if you did that, that was good enough. That's my memories of it. So, yeah, but
Nice.
great guy.
Look, you mentioned some of those big names that you played with during your time at West Sydney. Guys like Rucker, Bolden, Simon Dwight, really McGregor, someone a bit of a forgotten player there. So I wanted to ask you about the great Derek Rucker. Obviously, I'm rocking his jersey today. So he was in his last few years in the league, wasn't he, during his time with West Sydney? Wanted to ask you what it was like, I guess, learning from and going up against the practice. One of the great point guards that the NBL's ever seen.
Yeah, well, it was still tough trying to guard him because he was still. And guys that size, to compete, and like have dunks and go up against, he's going up against people like Mark Bradkey and guys that size. Like he's an elite athlete, but just an incredible player. Like injuries had, it started to kind of come to him a bit. You had to monitor his load and stuff a little bit at that point, but still, would get up his couple hundred shots after practice every day. And watching, being a guard, you'd go and me, Derek, and Johnny would shoot, just rotate the 5 spots, and mate, the numbers those guys would do was just ridiculous. And I'm sitting there kind of making them rebound for me, just throwing up bricks left, right, and center. But no, just great, just ultimate professional. Wasn't barking advice the whole time, but if you had advice or if you saw you needed help, he'd come to you. and just he competed every time he was out there. He just wanted to win, and believed he was good enough, which most of the time he was to get the win. So, yeah, just unbelievable. I mean, I'm glad I didn't have to go against him 10 years earlier, where he was at his athletic prime, and didn't have to load manage a little bit, because he was great, but a great teammate too. You know, looked after us young blokes. You know, after games as well. You know, because he knew where all the good places to go and stuff, which I'm sure watching him now on commentary, I'm sure he still does.
He
but
still does, for
yeah,
sure.
100%. But no, he made sure, you know, if there was, you know, hospitality on offer in terms of, you know, drinks or something like that, it was always, yeah, make sure the young guys are looked after as well. So he was, mate, great team. I've just got nothing but good things to say about all the guys at my time at West Sydney. And one name that actually gets forgotten about the West Sydney time was Phil Handy, who's gone on to have an amazing coaching career in the NBA. So
I know. Yeah. Is
yeah,
he still
yeah.
at LA or?
I
He
think
was
he
with the
left this
Lakers
year.
recently. He left the
Yeah,
Lakers.
yeah,
Didn't he?
yeah. Well, I think it was LeBron's bloody personal trainer almost in
Yeah,
terms of
yeah.
skills coordinator. So,
Watch
but
this
yeah,
space.
no, but
Watch this space. He could be an NBL coach at some
oh,
point.
mate, he'd probably be the most qualified
Yeah.
NBL coach in terms of NBA experience that we'd ever had. So, but no, it was
What about John Riley there, Ben? Because a lot of people have been saying who's the best shooter of all time. There's, you know, Chris Golding's in the mix, Gazy, Bryce Cotton. I think JR's got to be in the mix, right?
mate. No one talks about him. I swear to God. And I alluded to before, we'd go shoot the 5 spots and record your scores each time around. You know, corner 45. And if I had a good day, I get a 6 in front of my name, you know, like 68 or 6. And John's like, oh, and he's shitty. He's like, oh, you know, I got 53. I short arm that one on the third rack. And you're like, what? 50, 53 and like 50, 51. Yeah. And you didn't want to talk to him if you got like 50, 55, 50, 56, because he was just like, that's crap. He was, mate, it's amazing. Like, just watching it, it's just, and everything was so, I don't even know the mechanics of it, because he didn't bend his knees much. He just had the right spring from his toes, and it was kind of flat as well. But my God, probably he's the greatest shooter I've ever been, you know, in the presence of. So, and just a cracking bloke as well. So
One of the most random accents as well, still, right?
yeah, dude, what is it? Like, it's a hybrid of country hick and Idaho native and Toowoomba and American, and yeah, it's
He
crazy.
sounds a bit like Aaron Fern. You know, he's got that.
Mate, and that's another dude, mate. Salty Fern, my time in Cairns, the angriest man on the planet, but just a great guy as well. But it's a very, because Fernie's got the Kiwi Australian
American a bit, you know?
Midwest
Yeah.
Southern now, because he's in North Carolina. Like, what are you doing now, mate? So we are blessed with some weird and wonderful accents in Australia in basketball, that's for sure. So.
Well, Coach McLeod was planning, right? Because that first year you said you had a few injuries, didn't go to plan, but he was preparing you for the next season, where you guys really, in 2001-2, you finished 5th with a 16-14 record in the regular season, but in the playoffs you beat Perth 2-0 in the qualifying finals, Melbourne 2-1 in the semis, and then
what
ended
a
up
series
losing
that was too, yeah.
to Adelaide, 1-2 in the finals. So just tell us all about that campaign and how rewarding it must have been to make an NBL finals appearance in only your second year in the league.
Yeah, it was amazing. And I guess, like everyone says, you think these times are going to last forever, right? Like, it was, you know, it was, I mean, to beat Perth in Perth, I think the second game where we knocked them out was huge. It was just, because it was such, I mean, I'm sure it still is, because it's still Perth, right? It's still all the way over there. And, you know, they had a great crowd. They used to love hanging crap on me every time I stepped on the floor. Which was great, because you want them involved and just give them a smile and a wink, thinking, oh, that'll stop, but no, it doesn't. So we got that, and I mean they were pretty amazing at the time. You know, with their team, they still had Ricky playing. I think Paul Rogers was still playing at that point. But yeah, no, they were, to get that was huge, and like, you know, finishing 5th, I think we thought we could have done better, like 16-14. I think there's probably 3 or 4 games we probably let go that we could have kind of moved up the ladder, so we kind of made it hard for ourselves. But then coming back to the Melbourne series, that was just, I mean, I'm glad I didn't have to be a part of the crunch time sometimes, as a young guy, because like, it was, you know, Copes going against Derek and Gaze hitting the big shot, then really like coming back, and you know, Dwight, he's blocking stuff coming out of nowhere, and it was just kind of like, sometimes you sit there, and as a young bloke, I was, you know, it's probably not great to say, but you're kind of like, this is amazing. Like, I'm actually, and I get to walk out in the court at the end of it, kind of going, thanks, fans, you just saw this. But that was an amazing series, and we're on a high. I think we thought we were kind of really, really good chance against Adelaide, and then this guy who I love to death because I play with him in Cairns. He's in game 3. He's probably the best bloke you'll ever meet in the world. Rupert Sapple comes out and banks like 5 threes, banks them in quarter 1 and puts us down like 15, 16, and we're just chasing the game the whole way the rest of the way. And that was kind of you roll those 2 series, you think you're unstoppable, it's never going to end, and then when it does, it's a bit of a gut check. But I think we all thought we were going to come back the next year, but it didn't kind of work out that way. So
we've had a few people mention Rupert Supple on the show now, haven't we, Woods, and how good a guy he was and stuff. He was pretty athletic as well back in the day.
Back in the day, 360s and windmills and stuff back in the day, and built like a brick shithouse too, just a muscular guy. And to be honest, probably the greatest teammate anyone can ever have. I moved to Cairns for was alluded to a bit more of an opportunity, and circumstances didn't work out that way, and Sapper knew about it, and when it happened, he just said, comes on and goes, Arky, mate, you're at lunch, my place today. And I was like, what? And he goes, my place today. He said, mate, this has happened. It's happened. This is how you deal with it. And just, a guy who, even if you weren't looking for advice, you wanted to mope, was like, nah, not going to let you do it. Come on, this is what we're doing. Just a cracking bloke. But he broke our hearts in game 3 in Adelaide, that's for sure. So, and you like to remind me of it too in Cairns the next year. So,
well, what's really good, what I'm hearing here, Ben, is throughout your career, you had a bunch of guys who mentored you, took you under their wing, and really were bigger brothers to you throughout that process. So that's really heartwarming to hear, right? And look, things went pretty well that second year. We said it. It was what an epic experience looking back on it.
Yeah, 100%.
And reflecting on it now. So you thought you were going to greener pastures and you were going to get more playing time in Cairns, right? And so you decided to pack up and leave home and head to far north Queensland. Tell us a little bit more about that and how that came about.
Yeah, well, I didn't really want to leave initially, or at all, because I love Gordy, I love West Sydney, I loved all the boys, but I'd been and people had pointed out to me I knocked all these opportunities back in the past, like not taking Kenny Cole up on getting me a gig overseas, going to America for that. Not applying for AS, not going to the AS after I accepted the invitation. And people were like, well, if you don't start taking opportunities, the opportunities are going to run out. And so I'd already spoken to Gordy, though I was back. I was, had a contract offer from the Razorbacks. Azza Trahair, who's another fantastic bloke, had signed with the Razorbacks from Cairns. Yep. And Gordy's dream was to go all Australian because Bruce had naturalised and Derek had naturalised, so we'd all be Australian guys and kids. And so Azza leaving Cairns had left a void, so they were like, I got a call from my agent and Rob Beveridge, who was a mate of mine. We had I forgot to mention NSWIS, New South Wales Institute of Sport back in the day. Yep. He was my NSWIS coach, and one of his best mates was Guy Malloy, saying, they've got this opportunity there because Az left, and there'll be a 3-guard rotation. Brad Davidson's going there, Stewie's there, and you'll be the third one to kind of cover the 1 and 2 spots because I'm a little bit bigger for a point guard. I was like, oh, great, and I went to Gordy, told him about the offer, and he goes, give me a day, I'll come back to you. And I think he actually called Guy and said, mate, what's going on? Guy Malloy. And he goes, yeah, this is the opportunity. And so I went back in the next day. Gordy goes, mate, I don't want you to go. I'll have you here as long as I love coaching you, but this seems like an opportunity that if you want to go to be one of those kind of lead guys, you should take. So did that. It obviously didn't work out quite as well. We had a big guy, Ron Kelly, who was this young guy, just amazingly talented, strongest bloke, 21 years old. I think came out of University of South Carolina. Had a few issues adjusting to the pros. Ron was a great guy. End up a couple of issues and then end up punching Tony Rampton, breaking his nose, and they sack him just before the season starts. And I had a decent preseason. Had a bit of a meeting. Anyway, everything was going well. They sack Big Ron, and they come in and Guy tells the group, oh, look, we've got the opportunity to sign Darnell Mee. And I was like, right. There goes the 3-guard rotation, extra court time. But what do? If you get Darnell Mee, you go and you get Darnell Mee, right?
For sure.
That's what you do. You don't miss that opportunity. But so I didn't work out the first year, and hindsight's a wonderful thing. I probably should have stayed where I was and where I was happy, but loved the experience in Cairns. But that's that's the story of it. It was no one's fault, It just, if you got a guy of Darnell's stature, you go and get Darnell me. So yeah, and I just kind of got pushed a little bit further down the bench, which is okay. I've been used to it, so yeah.
What was the whole experience like getting out of Sydney and going to a place like Cairns?
Yeah, it was great. It was great. It was my first time. As I said, I kind of knocked all these back because I was a bit of a homebody and felt comfortable in my environment. I'm a Western Sydney kid. Love growing up in Western Sydney. Still live here. But it was great. Like it was, I was 22 years old, out by myself. Cairns is a great town. You're the only National League team in the town, so the town embraces you. The kids, when you go to the clinics and all that stuff, they embrace you. It's just a really, really great experience. I made some great friendships, which I still keep now. I'll text Sapper every now and again, but people like, Kane Oakley and Aaron Grabo are guys I'll have as mates for life.
He's going to wear his jersey today.
That's one of Woody's favourites, Aaron.
It's one of my favourites of
all
all time.
Bobo? Oh,
Aaron
mate.
Grabo. I was going to wear his jersey today. I thought
mate,
Dwight, right? Yeah.
He might be, actually, I said Aaron Fern earlier was the angriest bloke on the planet. The first one might be Aaron Grabo. But, mate, what a guy. And I first played against him, I think, when I was 13. He was playing for Dandenong, and I was playing for the Para Wildcats before I went to Hills. And they came up to me, and I was like, this bloke looks scary because he's so staunch the whole time. And not much changed. But, no, he's a teddy bear, mate. He's an absolute legend of the game. So they're the things I take. Yeah, the basketball didn't work out as I had hoped, but the friendships did, and they're the things that endure and that you remember. And so, yeah, it was good.
Talk to us about some of those teammates at the Taipans there, Ben. So we mentioned some of the names at West Sydney. Some of the names here are amazing as well. So we're talking Anthony Stewart, Darnell Mee, Ben Knight, Aaron Grabo, who we just spoke about, Marcus Timmins, Melvin Thomas. So what were these guys like to play with? Did anyone stand out to you? And obviously as well, it just sort of dawned on me then you played with Simon Dwight and with Darnell Mee. So probably two of the greatest three ever defenders in the NBL. But what were some of those teammates like?
Yeah, really good. And I guess still being a young bloke, I kind of pinch myself sometimes of the people I did get to play with. Another guy who I played with in Cairns who was just phenomenal was Jason Wells, who was just a long, athletic, and a great guy, just a champion bloke. Really good. We kept in touch for a while, but lost touch. But Stewie was great. Stewie, was he's just a funny guy. Nighty, I've got a lot of affection for. Like, he's still in Sydney. We don't catch up like I'd love to. But, mate, the first time I ever went to they used to have ITC camps, these 5-day camps. I was, I think, 13 and Nighty was 17. And I didn't know what I was doing. And he was nice to me from there. And he took me under his wing. So I was pumped to play with him there. I'd played with him a bit at the Sky stuff and the King's Summer League. And just he was a guy who grafted his whole way and was just a professional and made sure that there's a weakness in my game, I'll go do that. Darnell, like the quickest hands you've ever seen. Didn't like calling fouls in practice because he's like, well, they don't call that in the game, so I'm not calling it now. I'm like, well, that's fair enough. Was he a pretty quiet bloke, Darnell Mee? Chilled. Yeah. Like sometimes you're like, man, do you even like me, Darnell? Because you don't say much. But that was just his demeanor. Where he was just chill, but on the court, there was a fire in him where he's just like I think almost like he wanted to rip your heart out when he was defending you. He just wanted to steal your soul. And then, playing a guy like Melvin, who I watched, in the Alan Black coach Hawks, who I'd imagine would be like the kind of like Darnell, quiet and reserved. But man, Mel was like the life of the party. He was fun. So it didn't work out where he actually snapped his Achilles that year when I played with him. But mate, he was a guy. But I mean, Timo, man, like what a player Timo was. If he had been, because he went and played, like he had that one season in Wollongong, which I reckon still probably the greatest NBL dunk of all time, where he's almost horizontal as he comes in to dunk it. Like just like that's ridiculous. If he had been a lead guy earlier, as opposed to playing, with Gaze and Copes and Bradkey and mate, he could do it all. He could post you up and just give you 30, drop 10 threes, take you off the dribble for pull-ups. And he was, again, fantastic guy. Just embraced the young guys, made everyone feel welcome. It was just, I mean, as I said, I'm blessed to, and I just look back, even though it didn't work out for me, and the situations didn't work out, the affection I've got for those guys and my time there was amazing. So.
That's great.
Well, I want to ask about that a little bit, right? This is a question that, a lot of people would probably be wanting to know the answer to. 4 seasons in the NBL, right?
Yeah, yep.
After that, was it just a lack of opportunities? Did you want to start another career? I mean, you're a finance broker now, right?
100%. Yeah, no, and
Yeah.
I knew, so Guy and I just weren't clicking,
Yep.
which is fine. Like, the year Darnell come in, I still did my job, came into practice, pushed the starters, got coaches award, for just doing that, for copping on the chin and all that. And then the second year, it was like, well, this it's still, there's something that means you don't have faith in me. That's all right. So I'll go back home. And if something pops up, just sorry about that. If something pops up, So, but I got home, I went home and got a job almost straight away doing what I do now, just through some friends I know. And I kind of, there's a couple of little nibbles from different clubs, but I was like, well, this is an opportunity where, and being I was 24, so I thought, geez, I'm moving on. Like I've been doing this for a while. I'm getting older now, and I thought you're going to be typecast where you're not going to actually make. And I think the money's better now, but I was like, I don't want to wake up and be 32 and not have, and starting a career where I haven't got money to, a pot to piss in basically, because I'm just playing year to year. So got the job, and just called my agent and said, don't worry about it. I'm happy doing this finance thing, and kind of put my energy into that. So, and I had a girl, and I wanted to, get married and have kids and all that stuff. And, I don't think it was fair to ask her to kind of, follow me around for role players, being a role player. So I just kind of made a decision. It was tough. It was a bit, I'm making it sound like it was an easy decision. It was, at the time it was kind of like, wow, I thought I'd do this for 10, 12 years and this is going to be over. But it was a decision I made. I'm still happy with it. And I
Well,
still
I
got to
mean,
play. Yeah.
you've reaped the benefits of it, right? And back then, it was difficult to make a living playing basketball. The salaries were not big, right? You needed to make a decision.
Yeah, 100%. It was basically a commercial decision based on the rest of my life and trying to set myself up the best I could. As I said, it wasn't easy because I loved it and I loved doing what I do and I love the camaraderie. I mean, I guess you've probably taken that from what I've spoke about in the first half an hour. It's just being around the guys and all that. That's amazing. That's not a job, but someone's paying you to do it. That's like, it's hard to give up, but
Sure.
and I guess, as I said, I didn't have the greatest experience. What's that, sorry?
Oh, no, you go. No, I was just going to ask if there was like one game in that career that sort of maybe you think either good or bad sort of thing. Like,
well, the debut's always amazing because you did it, and like you said, if you play 1 minute, I guess you're one of the outliers in the game to actually make it to that level. But I mean, the big one's probably the loss to Adelaide. Because you can walk away from the game if you've got one of that little thing to put on your ring finger, but that one game and then having Sapper rubbing into me for 2 years after it wasn't great. Kind of kept reminding me of it. So, but that was probably the highlight and the low light, kind of making it to the deciding game of the grand final series and then losing it. So.
What about the great Andrew Gaze, Ben? Do you remember many encounters going up against him?
Yeah, mate, I do. And I tell people all the time, I said, I reckon everyone remembers him being just an amazing 3-point shooter and, and creator and passer and all that stuff. But he just lull you into a sense of security when you're guarding him, like the shot clock's 24 seconds. Oh, he's just, they just run the shuffle incessantly. And in 3 possessions down, he's just passed and run third option, come down the corner. You're like, oh, okay. Oh, the shot clock's getting down. Just watch where the ball is. And you look at it, backdoor layup, and you're like, far out. He got me again. Like, he's just the nicest. I always tell people, and Drew would know who I am from a bar of soap from all those years ago, but I just say, what you see on TV and how you see him.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys have spoken to him. Like, that's not an act.
Yeah.
He's probably nicer in person than he is. And, he didn't have to be nice to me, an opposing young kid who's trying to rough him up a bit because there is instructions, but mate, just probably the nicest bloke you'll ever meet in your life. And it's amazing to think of all the things he did, and it hasn't gone to be like he's still that humble guy, self-deprecating as well. Like, loves putting him, it's just an absolute legend. And Copes is the same. Copes is a cracking bloke as well. So again, no one would know. Well, they wouldn't remember who I am, but I remember. They always say, you remember how people make you feel. They didn't make you feel like you were. No, they were just just good people. So.
Andrew definitely remembers who you are. He remembers everyone, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well, he's encyclopedic brain basically. So
We basically had to wrap up the show and we had him on. He could have spoken all day, sort of thing. But like you said, just the nicest guy. I think that's probably, 148 episodes. That was probably the only time I've been really nervous because he was a childhood idol sort of thing.
Yeah,
Within 5 minutes, like, this guy's just an absolute terrific
because
human
his
being.
passion for the game comes through. Like, it's not an act; he just loves it. It's just, and I guess it's given him a lot. And to be honest, it could have given him a lot more from the stories you hear, like what he could have financially drawn from it. He didn't. But he's just a passion. And people always go, oh, I've got a couple of Melbourne mates who obviously supported different teams, and they're like, oh, I can't believe you talk so positive about him. I'm like, mate, because it's my experience. Like, he's just a genuinely good dude. So yeah, no, he was amazing.
So we know when the NBL career finished up there, Ben, you continued playing State League with a number of teams. So with me being the Hills Hornets NBL 1 commentator, of course, I wanted to ask you a Hills question there. So I know you spent some time, I think 2007 and 2008 with the Hornets. So just wanted to know what that period was like and any memories, anything like that from that time.
Yeah, well, initially I played, when I come back to Sydney, I was actually going to just try a different thing and try footy. Just go play, A-grade footy or something like that for a bit of a change. But excuse me, Bevo was coaching the ABA NBL 1 team, asked me to come have a run. So I played that year. We made the semis, and then they decided not to put a NBL 1 team in that year. So I just had a year off. My old man then coached at Hills for 2007, 2008. I think we made the semis 07, which is great. It's a local club. I brought in a couple of different things, like we weren't doing it for money. We're doing it for our club and stuff. So try to make it more social. We have to go out, have a meet for a drink after and that kind of thing, which is great. We had to come up with a team song, which they still sing today, I believe. Well, I hope. So I put a couple of young guys on that. In 2008, I thought we were a good shot to win it. We were 8-1. And then I snapped my Achilles. So I, had to obviously miss the rest of the year, and we didn't go too well after that, which is, not just because I missed it. We ended up missing the playoffs after starting 8-1, but because, coming back pretty recently, a lot of the focal point was I was playing point guard. It was coming through me, and we had a couple of young guys backing up. So, so he missed that. And anyway, so Hills decided to go in a different direction with the coach, which I totally understood. And I just said, look, I'd love to keep playing because, it's my club, because that's where I've kind of cut my teeth. But they went in a different direction. When I said, look, if you choose a coach that I'm keen to play for, I'll stay. But they chose an ex-teammate of mine who's actually an ex-NBL player way back in the 80s who just loved to run and run and run. And I was like, well, I love being fit, but as long as it's got a purpose. So anyway, 2009, I moved over to Manly. And we ended up winning the next year, which was quite nice. So
we'll have to get you down for a Hills NBL 1 game this season, Ben. Yeah,
mate,
bar set up. Woody will be there.
I'll be visiting.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah. No, I'll take up on that because I've meant to go to actually one of my mates who used to play with me back in those days, Phil Collins. He's always saying, let's go to a game, and it's always like, oh, the kids have got this on, the kids have got that on, but. Hills actually had their 40th anniversary.
Yeah.
Not last Saturday, the Saturday before, which I was kind of keen to get to, but couldn't get the crew together to.
I wanted to go as well, but I had something on. That would have been funny if we
it would have been good. So, but no, like I still play up there. Still play A grade on Mondays. So, move my big fat bum around and shuffle around and yell at young kids. So, but no, it's it's so close and it's just nice to see the growth. Like when I started the Hills in '93, it was we played out of Ellerman Park, a 1-court stadium up at Dural. So. To see how it is now is 6 courts and just the biggest club in Sydney is good. So,
good stuff.
But they should win, honestly. Being the biggest club, they've got to start getting some results. I
think they're looking to get a couple of imports again for the team this year, but I think they're looking for a big season this year. And
Well, I mean, it's
official season of NBL 1 for them. So
let's hope so. So it'd be nice to see them kind of as I think they are officially the biggest club in Sydney now.
I think so. Yeah.
It'd be nice to kind of see that translate into some NBL jury. So, but NBL 1 jury, sorry, but So
it's nice to see you're still involved in the game. Any other sports you're following? What are your interests outside of basketball these days?
Unfortunately, I'm a mad Parramatta Eels fan still, so there's not a lot of joy there. Yeah, to be honest, just my kids really. My daughter's playing netball. My wife won that fight, unfortunately. I put my son and my daughter into learn to play up at Hills when they were kind of 5 and 6, and after a year or two, they just lost interest. So I never wanted to be that parent to go, this is what you play, this is what you do. So let them find their own way. So my son's just got back into it the last kind of couple of years. So I not unfortunately, because it's great, but I coach, which is not good for my hairline and Devon patch at the back and grey hair. But so yeah, just try follow what my kids follow. But it's I love it. I'm a typical Aussie bloke who just, if there's sport on, I'll watch it, much to my wife's aggravation. But
they're all the same, aren't they?
Yeah. They don't like your passions. So no, I shouldn't say that. Jeez, she's gonna watch this. I'm in trouble. But no, I love sport just in general. I love team sport. I think it's great for kids. I think it's great for people. It teaches the life lessons
lessons, exactly.
Yeah. And that's important. So yeah.
But, that's awesome, mate. Well, it's been awesome having you on, Woods. I know you probably want to sort of close things and that, but
yeah, I mean, look. First, I want to thank you for taking the time, right? I know it's, as you said, you're a father, you've got a job, you're busy. To give up an hour for us, it means a lot, Ben. So thanks so much.
No worries. Thank you. As I said, I was a bit surprised to get the request. It was a pretty underwhelming career, but it's always nice to talk about and reminisce and it brings back good memories of all the good people I met along the way. So and a lot of them guys who never played we're in development players and stuff like that, but it's nice to reminisce, and it's a good time in my life that I like to save me getting a real job for 6 years anyway. So
well, it was great good. Taking a trip down memory lane with you and allowing you to reflect on some of the fondest times in your life. So
I appreciate it, guys.
Awesome. All right. Do you want to plug something here at all, Ben? Do you have to be followed anywhere on Twitter or Instagram?
No. I'm pretty happy just living my little life. I run my own little small business, so it's I'm just doing the finance stuff I did when I left and being around my kids. I'm not trying to do anything that's too big. So it's I'm pretty content with my life at the minute. So I'm happy. Yeah, just happy to come on and talk about the good times. So
we'll have to catch up in person for a beer for
sure. Yeah, for sure.
One of the Hills games this year.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Mate, that'd be great, to be honest. Yeah, keep in touch. It'd be good because I do love talking about it. I love talking about the game. I love talking about all sports. But yeah, that's obviously got a special place in my heart for opportunities. I was a shy kid, as I said, passed up opportunities to I could have taken because I was a really shy kid, and it's basketball and the life experience, as I said, it's taught me, has allowed me to kind of grow out of that and grab the bull by the horns where I can and talk to people and just enjoy myself and enjoy life. So it's great.
And it's a great story that you've told about your journey to where you are today, and some of the youngsters listening to this can learn a lot from it. So it's awesome, right?
Yeah, no, and that's it. You can't. There's no replacement for hard work. Just get out there and bounce a ball. Don't worry about all the NBA stuff. Just do all the simple stuff. So that's all you need to do.
Robbie, do you want to take us away? Where can we be found and all of that jazz?
Yeah, sure, mate. So just the usual stuff. If you want to pledge any support to us on Patreon, we'd appreciate that. We can also be followed on X at Throwbacks Hoops, Instagram, throwback.hoops. Email address is throwbackhoops.podcast@gmail.com. So if you've got any requests, any guests you'd like us to get on, these trips down memory lane that we love doing, please hit us up.
Cool. Any final thoughts, Ben?
No, thank you again. Thank you guys for having me on, and just thanks to the game for allowing me to have those experiences and all the people I've met, and it's been great. Thank you for having me on.
Pleasure. Thank you, Ben, and to our whole audience from Ben, Robbie, and myself. Until next week, it's goodbye. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.